In the early 2000s, a powerful corporation named MindScope started a groundbreaking project that promised to revolutionize the field of mental health. They claimed to have developed a cutting-edge technology that would enable them to peer into the minds of people with mental illnesses and understand the root causes of their conditions. Many people suffering from mental illness were excited about the prospect of finally finding a cure for their ailments. However, not everything was as it seemed. MindScope was a shadowy organization that operated in secrecy and kept its activities hidden from the public eye. They had ties to the government and the military, and rumors circulated that they were involved in illegal activities such as human experimentation. The true nature of MindScope's research became apparent when a group of investigative journalists managed to infiltrate their facility. What they found was horrifying. The corporation was conducting experiments on mentally ill people, using them as guinea pigs to test their new technology. The journalists found rooms filled with patients strapped to chairs, their heads encased in strange helmets that emitted flashing lights and strange sounds. The patients were clearly in distress, with some screaming and thrashing about in their restraints. The journalists tried to talk to them, but they were unresponsive, lost in a world of their own making. The most shocking discovery, however, was the reason behind MindScope's research. It turned out that they were not trying to cure mental illness, but to weaponize it. They believed that by understanding the inner workings of the mind, they could develop mind-control technology that would give them an unparalleled advantage in the military and political arenas. The journalists tried to expose MindScope's activities to the public, but their efforts were in vain. The corporation had too much power and influence, and they managed to suppress the story through their connections in the media and the government. However, the journalists were not the only ones who had discovered MindScope's secrets. A group of activists, many of them with personal experience of mental illness, banded together to fight against the corporation. They staged protests and rallies, demanding that MindScope be held accountable for its crimes. The activists managed to gain some traction, and eventually, the government launched an investigation into MindScope's activities. However, before the investigation could be completed, MindScope suddenly shut down all its operations and disappeared without a trace. The activists were left wondering what had happened to the patients who had been held captive in MindScope's facility. Many of them had been severely traumatized by their experiences, and there was no information on their whereabouts or condition. Years passed, and MindScope faded into obscurity. People moved on to other scandals and controversies, and the corporation became little more than a footnote in history. However, rumors persisted that MindScope was still operating in secret, conducting experiments on the most vulnerable members of society. The truth behind MindScope's research remained shrouded in mystery, and those who had been affected by its activities were left to deal with the scars that it had left behind. The story of MindScope serves as a chilling reminder of the dangers of unchecked corporate power and the need to be vigilant in the face of hidden agendas and dark secrets. Despite the rumors, there was never any concrete evidence to suggest that MindScope had resumed its operations. It seemed that the corporation had truly been abandoned, and its secrets would remain hidden forever. The victims of MindScope's research continued to suffer in silence, their trauma unacknowledged and their struggles unrecognized. It was a stark reminder that justice is not always served, and that some secrets are too dark to ever be fully revealed. In the early days of MindScope, the corporation that would later become notorious for its unethical research on mentally ill people, There was a man named Henry. He was the creator of MindScope, the mastermind behind the revolutionary technology that promised to unlock the secrets of the human mind. Henry was a brilliant scientist, with a mind that worked in ways that few others could comprehend. He was obsessed with the idea of understanding the inner workings of the human brain, and he poured all his energy and resources into developing a technology that would make it possible. However, there was a dark side to Henry's brilliance. He suffered from a mental illness that had plagued him since childhood. He struggled with delusions, hallucinations, and paranoia, and his mental state often made it difficult for him to function in the world. Despite his illness, Henry was able to create MindScope, thanks in large part to the financial support of his wealthy family. He poured his heart and soul into the project, working long hours in the lab and sacrificing his personal life in pursuit of his vision. As MindScope grew in size and influence, Henry's mental health began to deteriorate. He became increasingly paranoid and erratic, convinced that people were out to steal his ideas or sabotage his work. He would spend hours locked in his office, scribbling feverishly on scraps of paper and muttering to himself. The people around him began to worry, but no one dared to confront him. Henry was a genius, and they feared that any attempt to intervene would only push him further into madness. It wasn't until the investigative journalists exposed MindScope's activities that the full extent of Henry's illness became apparent. In interviews with former employees and associates, they learned that Henry had been obsessed with the idea of using MindScope's technology to gain power and control over others. He had believed that by understanding the secrets of the human mind, he could become a godlike figure who could manipulate people at will. He had even experimented on himself, subjecting himself to the same treatments that were used on the patients in MindScope's facility. In the end, Henry's mental illness consumed him. He died alone in his office, surrounded by his notes and his machines. His family mourned his passing, but they were also relieved that his troubled life had come to an end. The legacy of MindScope, and of Henry himself, would haunt the world for years to come. The corporation's unethical research had scarred countless lives, and the memory of its founder's madness served as a warning of the dangers of unchecked ambition and unchecked power. But amidst the darkness, there was a glimmer of hope. The revelations about MindScope's activities had spurred a renewed interest in mental health research and advocacy, and many people were inspired to work towards a future where people like Henry could receive the help and support they needed to live healthy and fulfilling lives. In the end, it was a small but powerful legacy, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of even the darkest of challenges. The legacy of MindScope and its troubled founder, Henry, remained a cautionary tale for generations to come. The horrors of the corporation's unethical research and the tragic consequences of Henry's mental illness served as a reminder of the importance of responsible scientific inquiry and compassionate mental health care. Though the scars of the past would never fully heal, the lessons learned from the MindScope debacle would help shape a better future for all.